Do you know the number one reason students hate studying? It is just so slow. You might even say things to yourself like, if only I was smart, if only I had the genetics, this wouldn't take so much damn time. Think about the last time you studied. It dragged on and you felt stuck and exhausted, and let's be real, you wouldn't want to do it again. What if I told you that the problem isn't you? What if I told you that anyone, including yourself, can learn how to study faster and completely transform their student life? You see, just by learning how to study quicker, you will worry so much less about exams. School will be less stressful for you and you will have so much more fun. Trust me. You must first identify your problem before you can fix it. So if you want to study faster, it is important that you identify why studying feels slow for you. Now, I don't know you, so I cannot tell you the exact reason. But what I'm going to do is I will list some common categories of students and you can see which category you fit to. Category 1, the passive learner. This is what your study session looks like. You spend the majority of your time reading textbook or highlighting your notes, and your main goal is to transfer the information from the text into your brain to try to remember everything. You may do some practice questions at the end or go through a few worked examples, but the majority of your time is spent learning passively. Category 2, the passive active learner. You spend 90% of your time doing practice questions. In fact, you do so many practice questions that you can't even remember how much you've done. Your main goal is to do more and more practice questions because the more questions you do, the smarter you get and the more chances you have of passing the exam. So you do as many practice questions as you possibly can until you feel satisfied with the knowledge that you've gained, or until it's 2 a.m. and you have to go sleep because you're too tired. Category 3, the distracted learner. You have a rough plan of what to do and how to study. You know your weak topics, you know your strengths, and you know what you should focus on. But your problem is you just cannot focus. There's Instagram, there's YouTube, there's Netflix, and whenever you're studying, you think about Minecraft for some reason. So your study session gets dragged on and on without seeing real progress and you feel tired. Category 4, the procrastinator. You wait until the last second of the last minute of the last day to finally start studying. And then as soon as you start, you realize how much content there is and you immediately start stressing. So you try to cram all night, you destroy your mental health, and now you hate studying even more. So I want you to ask yourself this: do I see myself in any of these categories? If studying feels slow for you, then there's a very high chance that you fit into one of these categories. The problem probably seems obvious to you now. Now the thing is, I can make a separate video for each of these categories, telling you how to fix it, what you should do, and giving you advice. But I think you're smart enough. I think that you already know the problem and you know how to fix it. So if I really make a video for each of these categories, that could lead to the shiny object syndrome for you, and it just becomes a never-ending cycle of watching study videos. Sometimes you just have to think for yourself. So what I'm gonna do instead is I will tell you how I study faster, so you can think about it and see how it may help you according to your own situation. You should spend the majority of your time doing practice questions, but there are 2 things that I do additionally that makes my session 10 times more effective. But before I continue, please consider subscribing because we're trying to reach 4,000 subscribers as fast as we can. So first of all, always have a purpose. I see lots of people doing an endless amount of practice questions without having a specific goal. Personally, I don't think this is a very effective way of learning because when you do such a large volume of questions and you put all this pressure on yourself, it can lead to burnout. And when you don't have a specific purpose for the questions that you do, you keep on forgetting the things you learn and you keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. So before you do a set of practice questions, think about why you're doing it. What's so important about those questions? Are they your weak topic that you're trying to improve at? Or are you just doing the questions for the sake of doing the questions? Think about how much time you're willing to spend on these questions and what you expect to gain from it. Now, the second thing that I do is reflection. If you exercise every single day, 7 days a week, then you're not going to gain any muscle because you need rest days too. So if you want to get smarter, if you want to gain more knowledge, reflection is going to be like your rest day. You cannot expect to get smarter if you just keep on doing endless practice questions without reflecting on your answers. So for every question that I do, no matter if I get it correct or wrong, I try my best to go through these prompts. This is what helps me improve rapidly. So the 2 additional things that I do is 1, have a purpose, and 2, reflection. Category 1, the passive learner, and Category 2, the passive active learner, these two categories can be fixed by what I just mentioned before. Whenever you're studying, you should always be in something called a deep work state. So deep work is when you have 100% focus towards your work. So it's just you and the work, and there are no distractions whatsoever. It's kind of like your flow state, where your brain is working at maximum capacity and everything just works out. Research shows that people are 500% more effective in a deep work state. So put away your phone, don't call with your friends, turn off the TV, and have as less distractions as possible. Here's what usually happens when people understand a topic in their class. So once you finally understand that topic, you feel happy, and as a result, you feel confident. So you let the information leave your brain for too long. The next time you think about that topic is before your exams, and by then, you've already forgotten most of it. So a quick way to overcome this is to immerse yourself, especially for the first few days after you've learned that topic in class. Try to think about it and randomly walk yourself through the topic. You can look at everyday items in your life and try to relate it with the topics that you've studied. For example, my shirt is blue, and you know what else is blue? Water. The xylem is what carries water up in plants, and I can just keep going and going about the xylem and the phloem and just walk myself through what I have studied. The reason this is so powerful is because of spaced repetition. Now this graph says that if you let the information leave your brain for too long, you will forget it. But for the first few days, if you recall the information over and over again, then you will be able to remember it for a very long time. If you want to remember more of what you learned so that you can study faster, then nonlinear note-taking also helps out a lot. And I'm gonna paste the video in the description showing how to remember everything you hear in a class. Now, does immersing yourself and remembering everything you hear in a class directly cure procrastination or category 4? No, it does not. But the reason we procrastinate is because the task that we have to do is very daunting. So for example, if you have a big exam coming up and you know that you don't remember anything you study, then having to go through it all over again, having to face this huge mental obstacle leads to procrastination. So by remembering everything you hear in a class and by immersing yourself, you will be able to cut down the majority of friction because the task of studying won't seem that difficult now. Plus, since you already understand and remember most of the stuff, you won't have to spend that much time studying on your desk. So that makes the task seem even less daunting. So it kind of cures category 4.